Hello traders, this is Rich Derrick from tradesight. This is the afternoon look at our scans for the major stocks for this coming session via our scans for the coming session Wednesday, April 17th, 2013. We've got a pretty vigorous bounce going on here after previous day's drubbing. We're recouping about half of what we lost yesterday, but it still leaves everything well below the break levels from the previous session. We do have a couple of signals here, but not a lot. We've got a downside camouflage sell signal in BlackBerry, and we've got an upside camouflage signal in Netflix. Only really have one volume bump here, which is Sina. Sina is 2% below the open on increased volume, so that's really kind of bucking the trend and fairly weak. First Solar, we've got an open-close deviation here, where it's more than 2.5% above the open. So this is definitely in play, although on lighter volume. So those will be a couple of things that I'll have on my list for this coming session. The financials are fairly well paired off as far as signals go. We've only got one here, which is an upside CPS signal in Citigroup. That one's got fairly decent volume, and it's more than 1.5% above today's open. The big loser today is Goldman Sachs, which is 3% below the open on 2 times the normal volume after they reported. We've also got a pretty good loss in US Bancorp USB, not quite 2% below the open, but on volume. Moving on to the energy patch, they're fairly weak. Arch Coal very weak with the CPS downside signal, 6.5% below the open on increased volume. We don't have any other volume bumps here, but we do have a couple of signals. We've got a camouflage sell signal in both BP and CHK. Those will be on my list for tomorrow. Best Buy volume open close deviation is notable here. That's 2.5% above. We've got a volume bump here in Dow and also Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is having a really strong session, up 2.25%. UNH is also having a fairly strong session, but VMW is probably the stronger of them. Mostly a technology company involved in the cloud. They've got an upside CPS buy signal, but it's on a little less volume than we would like to see. Verizon has a CPS downside signal. That's more of a defensive name out of the generals here, so I'm not surprised to see that with risk being put back on the market. The housing names are not really showing me too much. Most of them are more weak than strong. The only one that's bucking the trend is NVR, is above the open by a fair amount. Got good volume in Toll Brothers to the downside here, and it's about call it 1% below today's open. CSX also trading good volume. That one's up about 2% above the open, so one little sign of strength there. The commodities are very conflicted here because of what's going on. These will mostly resolve themselves before the close. AVX just getting taken out to the woodshed again today. That's down 10% on 2.5 times the typical volume. Volume bump here in Double G. That's also 2.5% below the day's open. And Newmont is weak also with these gold names still falling. The overall XAU index is right now lower on the day still. So the gold stuff's still in play. Have to see how these signals work out before the close. We've got about another 30 minutes before we close today. Well, that's going to be it for this evening. As always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.